Morning, everybody. Thursday, April 23rd. Mike Lieberman and Eric Halis here for On the Horizon. Again, it's really great to have everyone joining us regularly. And we've now even been chatting a little bit with some regulars before the show starts. So thanks to everybody who has locked this in, has been joining us every morning. We certainly really appreciate it. So today, we want to talk about marketing. Marketing last month is different than marketing this month, and we have some very good examples to talk about what has changed so dramatically and how we want to really help you guys pivot your own thinking around marketing to kind of correct for the way people buy in this new normal and help you guys generate some leads. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric, who has some opening thoughts. Maybe you could also give us a little positivity on Thursday morning, Eric, but take it away.
Yeah, positivity is that it's the fourth day in a row that we've been broadcasting, and our viewership has been going up every day. So thanks for everybody in the audience for sharing with their entrepreneurial buddies or corporate folks who are concerned about what the new normal is going to look like. Our show On the Horizon is simply about positive vibes, about what's going to happen to your business so that you can flourish when we come out of the other end of this pandemic. So the topic that Mike and I scheduled for today is digital transformation. Digital transformation has been a hot topic. And the question is, hey, Eric and Mike, haven't companies been trying to do a digital transformation for years? And the answer, of course, is yes. But it's the definition of what digital transformation is that I wanted to talk about. Lots of businesses use technology to do things either better, faster, or cheaper. So they've been doing a lot of like traditional conversions of things that we used to do manually and now we do digitally. And I made a little chart here of some of the things that we've seen over the years be a digital transformation. Print materials have gone to digital materials. Print mail campaigns have gone to email campaigns. Print and billboard advertising are now moving towards social media advertising. Brick and mortar storefronts are moving towards website and e-commerce sites. And then finally, something as granular as like a loyalty club card, buy 11 bagels, get the 12th free, moves to a mobile app. And these are all great examples of digital transformation. There's no doubt about it. But the question is, what is the right way to do a digital transformation? When we look at what's going on now with the COVID-19 virus, people not only have to change to a digital platform because this has forced us to, but they have to do it strategically. So the question is, what should small business owners think about as they tackle their own digital transformations? Well, one thing is you should get together with your leadership team and start to do an internal assessment to identify any gaps or problems or potential threats that you have. Now we're thinking strategically. Think about questions like, what's your prospect's biggest problem they're trying to solve? Or what's the key to your business's survival? Now we're not just switching from a postcard mailing to an emailing, but we're trying to use digital tools to be very strategic about what we can do. So how do you know that you need a digital transformation? So I wrote down a couple of signs you might look for. Number one, you have red flags going on all over the place in your business metrics. Number two, things like you might not get the same amount of referrals or repeat business that you had in the past might get you thinking as to why that's happening. Or how about your tried and true promotions that you used to do no longer generate strong leads? Simple example of that is go to trade shows, 3 a year, you come back with a couple of hundred leads. Now we don't have trade shows. So those tried and true things that you're doing are not working for you. And when you have something like this virus situation, it's situations like this that make us realize that we have to look harder at our businesses, look at the data, or even worse, we don't have data and we have to start collecting data to figure out what's going on so that you can be in touch with what your customers really want. I'll also throw in there employees as well, because yesterday when we talked about remote learning, there's obviously some employee issues too there about digital transformation. So I hope that kind of sets the table about like what you should be thinking about in a digital transformation, not just converting something old school to new school. Any comments on that, Mike?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think what we're seeing is instead of allowing people to be proactive in that revelation that things aren't working like they used to, people are being forced to think about it differently. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about. For instance, we have spoken with many, many clients who have relied on trade shows as a major source of leads for years and years and years and years. And even we have a big trade show that we go to every year in August or September, and we will not be able, well, likely it's not been canceled yet, but I'm sure it will be ultimately canceled. We will not be able to rely on that show this year. So, it's forcing us and other businesses to now rethink how are they going to get in touch with those people that they typically meet at these shows. And if you extrapolate that a little bit, it's not just shows. It's conferences that you might have gone to that were learning opportunities for you, but you also met prospects and customers at those shows. Even networking functions that you typically relied on, also maybe to get some leads. And there are a lot of companies that heavily rely on referrals as their major source of business. And lots of times those referrals come from, we're at a cocktail party, we're at a association event, we're at a dinner that we get invited to fairly regularly, and someone introduces you to someone else, and it's a good opportunity, and you start talking, and wow, we have a prospect here. Those are off the table. So, Eric's suggesting that you be proactive and insightful about what's working and what's not working. I'm here to tell you that it's too late. There were things that you had planned for the rest of this year that you're not going to be able to execute on. And now is the time to think about how to digitally reach out to those same exact people. So let's just use this trade show example because it's such a good, easy one for all of us to relate to. You went to a trade show, and let's say you invested in the smallest 10 by 10 booth, and you brought the minimum amount of people to the show, and it was in a reasonable city, let's just say Vegas, where everything is cheap to kind of get to and stay. You could be talking about $20,000 to $30,000 minimum for a couple of days at a trade show, and that almost doesn't even include any of the sponsorships or event-related things that you may also have purchased. So it's a significant amount of money that needs to produce a significant amount of leads. Now, let's say you were good enough to get that amount of leads at those shows. That's fine. With that off the table, you're probably thinking like, oh, well, we have all that money we're saving, and that's good because times are tight now. That's also acceptable. But let's take a small portion of that money, and let's figure out how to get in touch with those same people that you would have saw at that trade show. So one of the things we've been suggesting to clients is reach out to that trade show producer. Some of these people are professional trade show companies. Some of these people are actually associations or companies that have side business to run these events. Like the one we go to in August is actually sponsored by a big software company. But a lot of the shows that you might go to are sponsored by associations and membership organizations. Reach out to whoever runs that show and ask them if you can have access to their attendee list. Maybe it's even last year's attendee list. Now, you don't typically get those lists as attendees. And now that they're not generating revenue from show revenue, they may be more open to selling you that list, which would be a list you want to buy. If they won't sell it to you, ask them if they'll rent it to you, which means they will maintain the list, but you will get to market to those people. So either of those options is acceptable. And if you can execute that kind of back-end negotiation with your event or trade show company, now we can start talking about an active campaign to those people. And it's almost identical to what you would do if you were going to go to the show. If you were going to go to the show, you would design your booth with appropriate messaging. You would, Martin, I'll answer your GDPR question in a minute. You would come with offers. You would have reps scheduled to be in the booth to talk to people that come in, or marketing people scheduled in the booth to talk to people that come in. So all of these motions, all of these plays are going to be similar. What do we want to say to the people that would have been at the show? How are we going to differentiate our company? Some of this gets back to some of the strategy stuff that Eric was talking about over the past couple of days. What story do we want to tell people that will get them attracted to our company? Even though we're not going to be at the show, we're still trying to attract them to us. And then start communicating with them with the same message, the same offer, and drive them back to some type of property. Right now, typically we drive them into the booth. Now we're going to have to drive them to some kind of electronic property. It could be your website, it could be some website pages, or it could be what we've done for a couple of clients, a virtual trade show booth, where we spin up a page on your website that looks like a booth that has a chat feature so they can talk to you during the hours the booth is open. They can schedule meetings with reps with a simple meeting booking tool, and they can see your messaging, watch videos, download offers, have a very similar experience from the comfort of their homes, right? Now, again, this is going to cost you a lot less money, and your opportunity to drive the same amount of leads or even more leads over a longer period of time gives you a lot of flexibility. It just takes a little thought. So this is one example of how we're going to adjust our kind of traditional and non-digital approach to marketing to something that's a little more digital and provide you a lot more opportunities to track it, measure it, and be flexible in terms of how you execute it. Now, let me just answer the GDPR question. So for our friends in the States, GDPR is the rules that the European Union passed, I guess about a year and a half or so ago, that says you cannot market to someone that hasn't given you permission to market to them. In the United States, it's a lot less stringent. California is the only state in the United States that has any kind of rules like this, and those rules are not even close to what they have in Europe. So in the case of GDPR, for our European friends who are listening, I think in that case, your best bet is going to be to go to the event company and rent the list. Since they already have approval to market to those people, if they're marketing on your behalf, then I think you'll be okay within the rules of GDPR. But I am not a lawyer. I don't play a lawyer on TV, so please don't take legal advice from Mike Lieberman. Now, Eric, anything you want to add to that? Because I do have a couple of other shift adjustment tactics we can talk about.
No, I think the challenge that most folks will have will be in that feeling of, oh, this is new and different. How do I move off of that? Well, you have to think about backwards. If you're now sitting there in April 2021, looking back at 2020 and saying that year was a disaster because of the virus, these little things might save the year. If you did these things, if you had the guts to say, you know what, I'm abandoning the old school and I'm moving into the new school, these are the kinds of things that'll propel you not only to have a healthy business, but to kind of beat the pants off of the competition that's just pining for the old days.
Yeah, and another data point, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but last week Facebook announced that they're canceling all events larger than 50 people through June of 2021. So if you're thinking that my fall shows might be okay, or even my spring shows of next year might be okay, I think you might want to reconsider that. I think large gatherings are likely to be the last thing that comes back in play. And these shows, unfortunately, are going to be a big going to face a big impact from what we're all going through. The other tactic I want to talk about, because again, this is like a very, very, very easy one, is chat. So if you're on a marketing automation platform like HubSpot, you have the ability to use chat. If your website is not on a platform that comes with a chat feature, there are chat add-on plugins that can be added to your website. Today, chat is getting an incredible amount of momentum because people are looking for instant access and instant answers to their questions. So in the past, your website is probably set up with forms that people fill out to notify you that they're interested in talking to you or interested in getting something from you. And then lots of times that something is delivered automatically through a tool that you're using, and you're then prompted to follow up with them with whatever question they have with you, whatever request they had with you. That's fine, but that's not really serving people the way they want to be served today. People are looking for information very quickly. They're looking for questions to be answered very quickly. They're looking to have one-on-one conversations with either you as the owner of the business or with sales reps who are representing the company. And chat gives you an amazingly easy opportunity to have very quick and productive conversations with people in live in real time. And it is very easy to execute. You even can have people who are identified as prospects connect with the reps that they've already been talking to. So if reps have been working on a deal for a couple of weeks and now chat is turned on and that same prospect comes to your website and wants to speak with you, it can be automatically routed to a rep to continue the conversation with the same person that they've been talking to all along. I can't tell you how many meetings we get from chat, how many conversations people are interested in us. And it is an amazing opportunity to accelerate the sales process, but also to pre-qualify these people very early in the conversation to make sure that reps are spending time with them in a productive way. So the way we manage chat and the way we recommend clients manage chat is to do some qualification questions with the chat bot, which is some automated functionality that goes along with this chat tool, where if people have questions, the bot can answer those questions. And if the answers are appropriate, the lead can be qualified, elevated, and passed to a rep. So it will take some thinking, like we tell you about everything, strategy before tactics. So How do we want to use chat? How do we want to use these bots? Where do we want to use chat? How do we want to route them? But in literally a matter of days, you can be having conversations with prospects that you would likely not have been having before.
You know, Mike, I don't want our audience to also forget their existing customers, because existing customers need help also. They want to spend more money with your company and so forth. And yesterday we talked about surprising and delighting your customers. You turn on chat next week, all of a sudden your customers are like, wow, this is great. My company is really doing something to help me. If anybody noticed that Zoom has come out with all sorts of new features in the last 2 or 3 weeks, because they're really trying to accommodate their customer base. Mike, with a couple minutes left, I just wanted to read something that Christina Hooper posted to the chat feature. She said that Mark Cuban said on a webinar yesterday that he sees this disruption to business extending into 2021. We agree, but it's really extending forever, because we're never going back to the new normal. And I have a little quote that I wanted to read. It says that the reality is the world around us has changed rapidly because of this virus. Small businesses can't continue doing what they've done for the past 20 years and still accept the same result. Business as usual is a thing of the past, and if you aren't a disruptor, you're going to get disrupted. So now is the time to be bold and decisive, to add some of the things like a virtual trade show booth or a chat feature on your website so that you can start to once again advance the game.
I could not agree more. And your point about leaning into your customers is probably could not be emphasized enough. We are regularly talking to clients about how they market to their customers, and in a lot of cases that becomes a third or even fourth priority on the list of things to do. And I think today it probably needs to be at the very top of the list. Your customers need to hear from you. Your clients need to hear from you. They need to know that your business is doing well. They need to know that you understand that their business might not be doing so well, and that you're there to help them. And the communication you extend to your customers and clients is going to be the most important thing, in my opinion, you do over the next couple of months and probably into 2021 also. What can you do for them? How can you help them? What guidance and advice can you give them? What adjustments have you made to your business to take care of them in an extra way? The relationship you build with your clients and customers today is going to be the relationship that pulls you through the end of the year, and allows you to have that strong base of happy customers that will allow you to build on top of that once business does start to open up a little bit and people do start to spend money on your products and services. Having those strong customers are going to be very, 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 very helpful. Could not emphasize that more.
Listen, Mike and I know how tight cash is for most businesses. We're trying to conserve, we're trying to place the levers in the exact right place where we can get the biggest bang for our buck. Today, we're not asking you to spend any more money on marketing, sales, or advertising, but we are asking you to consider migrating some of the few dollars you have into these digital transformation activities so that you can build a much stronger foundation to leverage yourself as the new normal kicks in. Yes, I'm not going to the trade show, and yes, I am saving $30,000, but that $30,000 could go into a lot of other areas. But for a few $100, you can turn on the chat feature on your website and have a whole new dimension to your communication. That's the kind of digital transformation you should be thinking about.
I couldn't agree more. And really, you have to look at these as investments. So the businesses that we're seeing that are coming to us are literally telling us stories about wanting to invest in marketing now. Wanting to invest in things that they know they should have probably done a year or two ago, but now they feel like it's extra more important for them to be starting to build this platform to get ready for the new normal. And I think that's really good advice for all of you. And those progressive companies are going to be the ones that really thrive when we start to see things return to the way they used to be. So it's been great spending 20 minutes with you this morning. Thank you so much. This will be posted on our website. On the Horizons page on our website, you'll be able to take a look at it on demand if you missed it, or if you want to look at it again, or if you want to share it. We really appreciate it. And Eric and I will see you both back here tomorrow for the end of the first week of On the Horizon. Thank you so much. Have a really great and safe day.